I'm back. I'm back, and it's 30th of January 2025, and well, I am here transmitting from my it's almost 11 in the night. It's a little bit late, but I just wanted to make a quick transmission. 10:49 p.m. I restarted the transmission because it was failing. It had a little bit of a fail with Instagram, so I had to again. It failed Instagram. Sorry, Instagram is failing. I don't know why, but I'm sorry. I think Instagram is not working well tonight. I might do it with the smartphone app a little bit, and I'm gonna just check this one out to see if everything is working correctly, and it should be fine. It should be fine. Every single transmission should be fine. I think it's going to be a little bit, a little bit. How can I say it? A little bit of a secure measure, so I don't have issues here. And I think I'm going to just change this one. Sorry for the background noise. It's just another post that appears on my smartphone. But anyways, yeah, I was talking about that. Today was a bad day, because this American politics is so freaking toxic. That is so wrong, It's so racist, so fascism, towards nazism. I mean, it's everything is wrong in United States politics, and I had to agree. I saw a post from United Nations, and I completely agree. Racism is a global evil which remains prevalent in our societies. We must raise our voices against all expressions of racism and instances of racist behavior. We urgently need to fight racism, dismantle racist structures, and reform racist institutions. I completely agree. We urgently need to fight racism, dismantle racist structures, and reform racist institutions. And sadly, in the United States of America, it's all going to the wrong side. I think the government is making bad choices, poor choices, and everything is wrong in the United States. This is very awful to see how they are treating people, migrants, and regardless of a legal situations, any migrant is a human being, and it doesn't matter if they made their mistakes. They should be treated like another person, right? But there are many situations happening in the United States. It's a very toxic country right now. Politics is all upside down. It's very awful what's going on in over there. And now with this guy, apparently this guy is blaming the Biden administration for what's going on with the FAA. I mean, it's just a blame game that is so sad to see, right? Because everyone else is to blame, and that game is just not leading anywhere, right? It's just a blame game, like it's the fault of this guy, the fault of that guy, and everything is the fault of another guy, And this, I'm not gonna say it, but this is dumb. You see that they're blaming Biden administration, and it's so dumb, right? and they are trying to blame. They are trying to blame people with disabilities. Can you imagine the level of these people? Blaming people with disabilities for the the accident that happened last night. I mean, it's so disgusting to see. And apparently, some people reacted, right? And a user responded, the same exact policy was present under all 4 years from first term. Here's the Internet Archive. They put it the evidence of this being held the same policy with another politician, but this blaming games, like he's the blame, the other guy has to be the blame, is I mean it's very distasteful to see people blaming people with disabilities for their incompetence, and I think it's a very poor choice of words to try to put this on apparently disabled people, but I think this is disability, right? This is the real disability, to having a disability in your brain, and blaming an accident for people with this kind of situations. This is the real disability. It is not people with disabilities, with physical disabilities. The real disability is trying to blame an accident like the what happened yesterday, that a plane came down after crashing with an helicopter. I think the real disability is trying to put that accident with blaming this. That's the real disability. That's the real mental disability, is that one. Trying to blame from that accident this. And I'm not even putting who made this post, but if you look it up on the internet, you will find out that whoever posts this has a real disability, and not these people that the FAA hires, but the people that post things like this are the real people with the real disabilities, because they are just, they cannot accept responsibility for anything. So that's the real problem. So it's very sad what's happening in the United States. It's very awful. And these types of posts makes you feel your stomach sick, right? I mean, it's next level insanity. And I don't know, man. I just, it's very distasteful to see how is going down in flames. The politicians in the United States are in the worst moment of the history of the United States. Is very, very sad to see. It's not even indignant. It's just sad. It's sad to see that how things are going on in the United States with all these matters, with all these situations happening, and with all the blaming games, and everyone trying to blame this, blame that, blame the other guy, and yeah, it's just very, very sad to see that. You thought that you can only see that in other countries, but the United States now is so bad. Things are so wrong, so not wrong. I mean, things are going in a not in not the best scenario, not the best moment, and I think it's all too toxic. Everything in the United States happening around, everything is in a very toxic state, and I think it's because they've been very, they had many problems with drug addiction in the United States, and I think that the high levels of drug addiction in the United States is making all these problems appear in social media, in every corner of the society in the United States. You see these types of problems in politics. Is no exception, and I think this is the result of years and years and years of not preventing problems like drug addiction, and now they are paying the toll of all that years of not addressing this issue, this problem in the youth, in people when they were young in the 90s, in the 80s. And I think that now they are paying the toll for all that mismanagement, public health problem, completely mismanaged for many decades. And it's very sad. I'm not even trying to criticize or judge anything. I just think that it's very, very, very sad. And the fact that all these situations are happening out there is sad to see, to be honest. It's very sad that everyone is blaming the other guy, and everyone is blaming this and that, Biden, this and that. And the problems are still there. They're trying to fight other people, other wars in other places. They're arming Israel and other countries, but they are not fixing their problems. And it's actually very, very sad to see. It's very sad to see. And I didn't even look to tweet X today that much. I just look at it for 15 minutes, and in those 15 minutes I saw that tweet, and I say, man, the situation is very sad. And what's happening with the migration in the United States is twice as sad, because we're talking about human beings. I think the United States of America forgot that the United States of America is a migrant country. It is closest to a metropole that was built upon migrants. And what they are doing to the migrants, they forgetting their roots, their origins. And it's all very too sad to see all that situation happening over there. And I don't know, it's very, very sad, all that is going on with the United States. And I think they are, I don't know, I think destiny reached them. I think destiny finally got to them, and their mistakes now are just flourishing. I think that the mistakes of the past are now having its consequence. Finally, the consequences of their bad decisions in the past, now they caught up with them. And I don't know how they're gonna fix many problems they have, but it seems very, very difficult. And I don't know, I hope that they can manage to fix all the problems, because the future for the United States, it doesn't look good with all this debt, collective debt that they have. And it is a very, very big debt, and this is growing by the second. You see, I tend to put this not as a mockery, but as a real issue that they have. And I don't know why the page loaded differently, but you can see the numbers of the debt, and it's a big number. You see, $36 trillion, and it keeps going and going and going. You see, the numbers are like skyrocketing, and that's the real problem of the United States. It's not about blaming this and blaming that, but I don't know, it just looks awful. It looks very awful. And there you have it, right? There you have it. This is the real problem of the United States. And this debt is not going to lower. It's not going to stop. It's not going to be paid by blaming people, I guess. But I don't know. I never saw the United States in this situation. I mean, I never saw the United States so troubling with these many issues, many problems in a long time. I don't remember even see anything like this. And I just don't know what's going on in the United States anymore. With the debt and all the situation happening around whatever thing is going on. And the migration situation is very awful to see how they're breaking into people's house. I mean, I don't know. It's just it's very, very sad. And Uh, yeah, I mean it's really, really, really sad. And and what's happening with all the situation around all this phenomena about the migrant situation, the Middle East situation. I mean, it's been very rough years for many people around the world, and I don't know, man. It's very complicated what's happening in the world, and doesn't seem to be any solution. Very, very, very clear. We don't see any any way to solve this. Is a very big problem. What's happening in the world with the Middle East and other parts of the world. I mean, it's just it's not the best scenario for anyone, I guess. And the United States is having all these problems, all these issues, and I don't see them fixing them. I see them complicating their own problems with all these conflicts happening around here and there with Panama and all this stuff. I don't know. I think the only positive move that I have seen so far by the United States, I think, is this one. Is the gender change ban. I think that's the only positive move that I have seen. This is this law rejecting radical sexual orientation. Well, maybe that's the one of the most understandable of all these policies. Maybe the other one is designating as terrorist the the Mexican cartels. I think that's another that is quite positive, especially for Mexico, because in Mexico things are going wild, and there are many failed states in Mexico right now, like Sinaloa is complete failed state, and people just demanded. They have been demanding the resignation from the governor from Sinaloa because he's a failed state, and I don't know. It's too much problems happening in Mexico now. There's a lot of issues going on that needs to be fixed. Too much corruption that that needs to be fixed in Mexico as well. And let's hope that everything works for the best. And what happened with yesterday's accident is not a problem of the FAA or a policy problem. There's something else over there. There were many near misses reported in the FAA, and so disgusting to see this tweet. I mean, very, very disgusting. Trying to blame this on apparently disability, people with disabilities working in the FAA. I mean, so disgusting. I mean, really, really. I mean, it's very distasteful and disgusting. I mean, I had some respect for this guy that I'm not gonna say who it is. I had some respect for this guy, but he just flushed it all for the toilet with this nasty tweet. I mean, it's the worst tweet I have seen in my entire life, and I think that whoever posted this has a real mental is the one with the real problem, with the real disability, because trying to blame an accident like the what happened last night in Washington into this asshole has a real disability, in his mind. He's the real person with the real disability, not this thing that he apparently argued that was the problem. I mean, it's so disgusting to see these people, to be honest. I mean, I really, there's no words to describe this. It's a nasty comment, a nasty tweet, and I mean, it's so gross. It's gross. I mean, it really is very gross to see what's happening in the United States with these people. I mean, it makes me feel sick to my stomach. I mean, to be honest. Some people reacted well. Some people say this. And this is not about blaming people, right? But it's so disgusting to see that, It's so. I mean, oh my god. Exactly, some people with brain, it wasn't effective for years. It wasn't being a bit badly implemented, and they have no impact on air traffic controllers. I mean, but the fact that this guy referred to this is so disgusting. I mean, really trying to blame people with disabilities for an accident is so gross. I mean, I cannot. I just cannot keep watching that nasty people. Oh my god, it's just. Phew. Oh my god, I feel like I need a drink, and I don't even drink. I haven't. I don't even drink alcohol, but with with these people, oh my god, it's poor America. I mean, I feel so sorry for America. Because, oh my god, I'm sorry. It's just, oh my god, it's something that, phew, it's something that you didn't expect to see after the Nazism was destroyed. I mean, really, I mean, it is very sad, to be honest. It's not even forget about anything else. It is just sad. It is just sad to see. And well, I just wanted to put it here in my social medias, and just as a follow up. But I mean, it really is something is something that you don't imagine to see. You don't imagine ever to see something like that. And I don't know what these people were thinking of when they published that, when they post that. And I am saving the shame for these people, because I don't want to put the finger, no, who put the who made that post. And I'm not going to enter that game, about who made it. I'm just gonna say it is a post. It's in X. It's out there. And Jesus, it is just sad to see. And Jesus, it's just very sad. And yeah, I mean, it's quite sad. I was just here looking for this. I think this type of. I think I understand why the United Nations is publishing this. I think I understand why, because these structures and institutions sometimes can do very much harm to humanity. And sorry, it's just I don't know what to even say to something like that, to a post like that. I don't even know what to say. I don't want to comment anything, but I just wanted to leave it here on my space, on my social media, as something that happened, something that happened. And I'm just gonna talk about something else. But Jesus, it's so sad, very sad to see that. And we need to speak out. This criminalization of migrants is not gonna fix anything. It's not gonna do anything good. It's not gonna fix any problems. I think it's not the way. It's not the way to fix all these issues happening around the world. I think that the only result of that kind of decisions and actions It's just exacerbate or make the problem bigger. I mean, it's definitely is not the way. It is not the way to fix any problem. That kind of situation. And I said it before. When I see this happening, sometimes I remember. Sometimes I remember the journal of Anne Frank. The journal of Anne Frank. What happened? That they had to hide inside the house of the friend because the Nazis were looking for them, and they tried to enter the houses and looking for the Jews, all this stuff. And I see what's happening in the United States and how they are managing all this situation, and I cannot help but remember that book from Anne Frank. And I don't know, I don't want to be a dramatize something, but lately when I see the news, I cannot help but remember this book. This book, it's a very good book. I think everyone should read it. It's a book that talk about story, about something that happened. And well, I've been seeing the news lately, and all I can say is that I remember her. I kind of remember her when I see the news about all this migration stuff and all this situation. Well, I cannot help but remember this book that I read when I was a kid, and it is a very strong book. But I don't know, it's just something that comes to my mind with when I see all this situation happening with the migration right now in the United States. And I think it's a book that everyone has to read. Every single person in the world should read that book because it contains the report of a very sad moment in humanity that happened against people from other countries that lived in Germany. They were people from another country. They were Jews. The xenophobia and the racism that happened back in the day, and the story that Anne Frank talks about in her journal, and reading about all of that and seeing what's happening on the news in these times. I mean, I don't know. I cannot help but remember the book, to be honest. And I don't want to talk about who is right and who is wrong. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying this is right, this is wrong. I'm just saying these kind of decisions. I cannot help but remember Anne Frank, and what happened with what she describes in her journal or her diary. And I mean, it's very sad what's going on, and yeah, I think that there are many other ways that any problems can be solved, but some of the decisions that are made are just not the best. And well, I'm just gonna put here this another story that I want to put in my timeline. And let me see if I can put it in English, because I'm trying to make this one in English. And yeah, I mean, there are many places with issues, and Mexico is not. It is not the exception. Every country has its own issues. We in Mexico we have many issues as well, and sadly there are many this problem like this right here. It's very very complicated as well. You see, there is this report from the Human Rights Watch. It's a human rights institution that talks about human rights abuses in many parts of the world. Well, they made the report in Mexico, and they put this one. You see, they see President of Mexico, who took office in October, inherited a human rights crisis rooted in extreme violence by organized crime groups and widespread abuse by state agents with near total impunity. Her predecessor Obrador made little progress addressing this challenge. You see, so this is actually the problem that we have here in Mexico. this extreme violence and widespread abuse by state agents. Sometimes we see that the law enforcement, the police, sometimes is extorting citizens. And we see these chiefs of police being arrested for corruption. For the very chiefs of police are sometimes extorting citizens with business and working with criminal organizations. Is very very complicated, the situation in Mexico, and it is a big problem that we haven't been able to solve for many decades, and it's still out there. And there are many issues right here that are discussed in this report, and it's not going well in Mexico. There are many issues going on over here, and there is no many things that are changing for the better. That some things are just remaining the same, other things are improving a little bit, but there are no general consensus in respects of fixing all the issues in a very decent way. We still have this type of collusion between this, and sometimes sometimes it's a very complex problem that we see happening. For example, in Sinaloa, for example, where the civil society is demanding that the governor resign, because it's happening an awful situation over there as well. And I think that there was an incident where two child were murdered by the criminal gangs, and this enraged the people from that state, and demanded there's a resignation from the governor, because he's very incompetent. And it's a very nasty situation what happened there. And I mean, it's awful. And there are people is demanding the resignation of that governor because of that incident where two child were murdered by gangs. And well, it is very very bad situation happening over there. And I don't know, it's very very complicated. And let's hope that I don't know, maybe the fact that the United States is pushing Mexico a little bit against this type of organizations maybe change something, or hopefully. But there is very awful situation happening over here in Mexico as well. And well, the United States politically is something else. And the fact that you see some people, I'm not saying even who it is, but that tweet by itself, that exposed by itself, is nasty. And hopefully there are many more people that are more focused on things in the United States, that doesn't fall into this politics, a toxic game, because the United States is going to have very serious troubles if it gets sucked in by this toxic game of politics, of blaming people that the last administration did this, did that, because that's not going to fix anything at all, and the problems are going to be still going to be there. It's not going to solve anything. Blaming game, blaming this here, this or that, that's not going to fix any of the problems of the United States, and certainly is not going to fix the big debt that they have in front of them. That's the real problem happening in the United States, and the blaming game is not going to fix this big issue of the debt that they are facing. $36 trillion is a lot of money, and it's a big challenge. And And trying to fight people is not going to fix anything. But I think the United States has lost completely their influence in the international scenario, and I think China is taking a little bit more leadership in that sense, because they are not fighting people like the United States. United States is trying to fight everyone that thinks differently, and I don't think China is doing the same mistake, and that fighting with each other and with everyone is not going to fix the $36 trillion in national debt, and it's skyrocketing like never before, and it's going to keep skyrocketing until the government has no it's going to keep skyrocketing if they want to start fighting with everyone, if they want to fight everyone, until the government is shut down because they don't have any more money. So I don't know, it's a very big problem that they have, and I hope that they can fix this, because they cannot be thinking about the project Stargate and sending people to Mars. When you have this big problem, this country cannot be leading the world when they have this kind of debt in on top of them. They need to start forgetting about leading anyone, because they have this big issue that they need to fix first, and then maybe then when they fix their own issues, maybe then they can start thinking about leading the world. But anyways, I'm just gonna leave this in my social media. This set of events, one very nasty tweet that someone made out there. It's a very important people in the United States, very influential people, but that tweet was something else. A very nasty tweet, and that is not going to fix anything in the United States. But after seeing that kind of attitude from those kind of people, I just wanna put this one very, very, very loud and clear, because this is what we need to remember, and everyone around the world needs to keep pushing against racism and discrimination and xenophobia. Xenophobia is wrong in all its forms. Discrimination is wrong in all its forms. Criminalization is wrong in all its forms. Blaming people with disabilities for incompetence is so very wrong. And I believe that the real disability is trying to put an accident and blame people with disabilities for it. I think that's the real disability. That's the real person with disability, with a mental disability, a mental disability, because trying to blame people with disabilities for an accident and an airplane accident with an helicopter, it's a disability in itself, a mental disability in itself. So I'm just gonna say that, and I found it very nasty and disgusting, that tweet, and that's a form of discrimination too. That is a form of discrimination against people with disabilities, and it's so effed up. And I think that I'm just gonna put this one out there. It's still going out the hype. It's still going out the hype with DeepSeek, and I think that is going to be a more futuristic and artificial intelligence out there. And the United States of America and this part of the world are always trying to say, well, you have to be careful with any artificial intelligence, So this Citizen Lab is very, very accurate. Everyone needs to be careful with any artificial intelligence out there, and I said it before. Artificial intelligence is the greatest scam of 21st century, because we don't have an artificial intelligence yet. It doesn't exist. So yeah, I agree with Citizen Lab, a non-profit organization, when it says we have to be cautious with every single artificial intelligence out there. Everyone, not just the Chinese one, but the Americans one. Everyone, and it doesn't matter if it's doesn't matter if it is from another country. We have to be careful with any of these type of technologies. Anyone. So let's hope that we keep pushing this type of messages of tolerance and inclusion, and especially those types of messages that doesn't put you in this mindset of you me versus them, that of violence, you see, of imposing things, trying to impose your things. And as you see here, this yogi talks about a little bit of this type of philosophies in the world. This type of philosophy is a philosophy from another part of the world, from India. I think it's from India, from that part of the world, Asia, and it's called Sanatan. And this is the eternal laws dictate not dominance nor conquest, but inclusion. The laws within a nation or laws of the global committee have always been enforced with a threat of or violence or outright violence to protect artificial borders. How many have we killed? That's a very bold statement, right? How many people have been killed for that? For protecting artificial borders. It's only when the planet was created 300 years ago, there were no United States borders in the world. There weren't Mexico borders in the world like 500 years ago, 600 years ago, 1,000 years ago. There were no United States borders. There were no Canada borders. There were no Mexico borders. There were no Latin American borders. That didn't exist any of that. That's why this yogi says, these artificial borders, because the planet didn't came with borders, with lines. We see the lines of the borders of countries in the maps that we create, but if you go and travel in a plane, you don't see the line in the planet. The planet doesn't have border lines anywhere. So these are artificial borders, and say how many people have we killed in the world, how many people have died for protecting those artificial borders, to introduce ideologies of unity and seeming oneness, to bring forth equality and assumed justice, spirited cults of universality and social justice of communism. How many have we killed? To serve our ideas of prosperous empires, both ancient and modern, to civilize those labeled savages and bring gentleness to seemingly violent societies. How many have they killed, right? Above all, in servants of an absolutist God and his godless heaven, a God who is supposed to be an embodiment of love and compassion. How many people have died for that? The sweetness of Sanatan is not having anything to impose. The relevance of a sword does not exist, exception in defense of life. A sword can intimidate but does not serve the longing and purpose of inclusion. Inclusion not an idea or an ideology but an essential truth. The creation and the source are a manifestation of inclusive force. Articulating this and enabling this unity is Sanatan, and there is no need to kill. So that is a message. That is a very, very important message, a very interesting message that changed the narrative, that changed the mindset. This mindset of imposing things. Things have to be my way, or everyone is wrong. And these conflicts and these impositions with force that tend to lead people to die. For what? For what? That is the question. People dying for what? For what you think is right? For what you think is wrong? You think you have the absolute truth? I mean, really? So yeah, I agree a lot with this message of Sanata. I think I understand what it means better than before. And I think the universe itself, more than gods, the universe itself, all things, all beings, this creation that we are all part of, everyone, we are all part of this creation, this existence. And I believe that this existence, this all is guiding us. I think is the universe that is bringing these things to attention to many people, not just to me. I think it's for everyone. I think many people are starting to see this, not because one person like me is talking about it, but I think the universe itself, everything is trying to to make the humanity understand these things. There is no coincidences with all beings, with this existence that we are all part of, and there is no coincidences that these messages are arriving to people's to mind of the people. This yogi, this person is thinking about these things because we all are part of one big creation, and this big creation is talking to all of us to wake up. I don't believe this is an idea of myself. I believe that many people are talking and seeing the same things, the same issues, because I think that this mastermind, this universe, this big creation, this great spirit, whatever you want to call it, this thing that we are all part of, I think is trying to make us understand these things, to wake up of these fantasies where we have to believe is sweet or is acid or is white or is black. There's many. Life is very, very amazing. Life is amazing. It's beautiful. It's beautiful in all its forms. It doesn't. There is no only two forms of life. There is not two paths in life. There is not just two paths. There are many paths in life. There's happiness. There's sadness. There's bitterness. There's anger. There is joyful. There is happiness. There is not just happiness and sadness. There's many, many, many other emotions. Life is not just two emotions. Life is not just two colors. Life is many things, many, many more things. But we are seeing conflicts because we believe that life has to fit into a mold that only has two boxes. And we have to put everything in two boxes, and there is no more boxes. So it is one thing or is the other. And that's the conflict that we see everywhere. Everywhere. And not just because I say it too, because we see this in the United States. Or they're imposing Christianity, or they're imposing liberalism, They're trying to fight these things, division. It cannot be other different thing. There has to be one or two. And their system in the United States is toxic because it's Republican or it's Democrat. There's nothing more. There is nothing more. So I think that is a conflict by itself. I'm not gonna say who is right and who is wrong. I'm just saying that type of mindset can be conflictive because I have been imprinted in this system as well, and I noticed it. You notice these things when you experience them. You start to see conflicts where there should not be any conflict. And I want to put this reflection, this Sanatan reflection, very interesting. And it is not about imposing my reality to others, like some people think it's the right way, the wrong way, the right way, what is good, what is wrong. That is just the same mindset that is creating conflicts. And this person, this yogi, puts it very eloquently, in a very eloquent way. He shares this this very important message. I'm not talking about religion. I don't care about religion. I think we should care about humanity, of us. We are all brothers and sisters, part of a same creation. And this message of the Santana, of Sanata, let me check it out to not miss Sanatan. This Sanatan message is important more than ever, to see and start to deconstruct this conflictive mindset that we might be developing because of politics, because of whatever you want to say. We should be careful with this mindset. And I think that this Sanatan reflection, or how do you want to say it, this reflection, very eloquently put, makes us think about this. And I think it's a very important message, and it is not about who is right, who is wrong, who is good, who is bad. If he believes like me, he's okay. If he doesn't believe like me, he's wrong. I need to educate him. And that's where the problem starts. When people start to say, well, I believe in one thing, so if this other person doesn't believe the same I am, well, he is wrong. I need to educate this other person. That is when the conflict starts. When we cannot understand this situation, when we believe this kind of stuff, and then we see it happen in many situations, even in politics. In politics it happens all the time, and this situation is not the best situation for humanity to thrive. It is not the best scenario for humanity to thrive. That's what I'm saying. If we want to thrive, we need stability, and these games does not help people to thrive. And I think other persons in other parts of the world that are not Western civilization, that are in Asia and other parts of that Oriental civilization, I think they see it very clearly. I think they see these things very clearly. And so at least I start to pay attention to these things. And and it is not about who is right or who is wrong. That well, and the typical reaction that I've seen as a Christian with these types of situation is that well, he's crazy. Oh no, he has a problem. He has an issue. He needs to go to therapy. Just because he thinks different. I've seen it. I've seen that kind of reaction happen when people is confronted with another system of beliefs. Well, then, no, he must be wrong. No, well, he's just having a bad time. Well, he's not happy. He's depressed. He's confused. We immediately disqualify the people that thinks differently. And I don't know. Maybe many people sees this. No, he's just he's depressed. Oh no, he's having a problem, a bad time. He needs therapy. He needs to recover. Just because he thinks different, and that is a problem by itself, because that is bringing yourself into these impositions, trying to put things, force things on what you believe, because otherwise they are wrong. They have to be wrong. They are crazy. They are wrong. They are depressed. They have an issue. They need to recover. They need to go into the hospital to get well, and they will start to see things as I start to see them. Because if they don't see things as I start to see them, they must be wrong. They must have an issue. They must be with a disability. There must be this disqualification game, right? Because you think you know better. So when you think you know better, well, you have to impose them on others. Like this said, to introduce ideologies of unity and seeming oneness. Well, exactly, any idea. No, when you try to impose your ideology, I'm not trying to impose any ideology. I'm just saying I think different, and we need to respect others, even if they think different, and not to impose them things. I'm not trying to impose things on anyone. I believe many things, but I do not trying to impose them on anyone. I'm just trying to say we need to start respect that part of humanity, that we believe different things. That's all. And you can believe whatever you want to believe. Like they say, no. When you are all in service of an absolutist God idea, wherever you want to put there, when you try to impose something, when you an idea, something, a system of beliefs, whatever, when you try to impose something is when we have problems. When you don't accept that the other person thinks differently, and that's what happens with communists. It's a communist, and we have the Cold War. They're communists, so they are evil. They need to be destroyed, and then we have a Cold War. And like this say, to serve our ideas of prosperous empires, because we believe we have the absolute truth. both ancient and modern, to civilize those labeled savages according to your own perspective, and bring gentleness to seemingly violent societies. How many people have died? When the Spanish came into Mexico, they are uncivilized. They think different as us. They do things differently, so we need to civilize them. And they kill many people. They destroy all these cultures. They burn all these codices because they were wrong. They bring the Bible. They were right. We need to impose something, and we need to destroy them and impose them the churches, and they build Catholic churches upon pyramids of the cultures that lived in Mexico because they were wrong. They know better. There is this illusions. I know better, so I need to impose what I know is better for them. And we see this in Mexican conquest with the Spanish. They destroy and burn all the culture, and they put the churches in top of the pyramids because they knew better. But we were savages in Mexico, so they need to impose their absolute truth on others and kill many people. And we have seen this in many parts of human history. This I know better, right? I know better than the communists. I know better than them. So they have to do what I say. They have to put me first. You see the trap? They have to put me first because I know better. I know what's best for them, and if they don't do what I say, well, they have a disability. They have a problem. I disqualify those people because they think differently. But well, this is just something that I wanted to put. Sometimes it is like therapy. This exercise, because sometimes people need to say these things, right? And I feel grateful that these people is saying, at least someone is saying these kind of messages that are needed. And I'm happy to see that Sanatan, it is an ideology. Maybe I don't know what it is. Maybe it's a discipline, a form of a point of view of things. And we should be grateful in the world for having these types of philosophies, instead of saying, "No, he's wrong," because there's only one God, and I know better, and now there's only one, and every knee is going to bend again for this or that. Doesn't matter. It's not a competition. And I see these things because I faced many of this part of Christianity. I faced it myself. I've seen it myself. So I taught this a little bit to myself as well. A little bit, yes. And how grateful we should be for having these different points of view. We have Sanatan, a very interesting philosophy from another part of the world. How grateful we should be to have many points of view, many cultures. How beautiful is the world when we have different cultures, when we appreciate cultures instead of imposing my ideas over others, because I know better, right? I know better, so those all other cultures are wrong. They have to adjust to myself, to my culture, to my mindset. But no, this is how grateful we should be to say, well, there's another part in this world where they believe in Sanatan, where they have this philosophy, and how good it is to have this philosophy, to have these differences. How empowering is that, to see that these things are handled differently in that part of the world, that it is not having anything to impose, like Sanatan said. It is not having anything to impose. There is the relevance of the sword does not exist, exception in defense of life. A sword can intimidate but does not serve the longing and purpose of inclusion. I agree completely with what Sadhguru is saying over there, and we should be grateful to have these differences. The creation and the source are a manifestation of inclusive force. I agree. Articulating this and enabling this unity of is Sanatan, and there is no need to kill. I could not have saying it better. There is no need to impose anything. We just need to accept life as it is, in its beauty, in its vastness, and in its diversity, and how beautiful it is with all these differences. Instead of imposing my mindset to others. I think that's the mistake that we're seeing in many politicians, especially in the United States, and it's putting a lot of suffering into people, migrants, and all this discrimination, all this xenophobia, because you want to impose something instead of enjoying the beauty of having all these differences. Although it doesn't apply exactly, because there are some other things that you have to consider. I agree, you cannot apply this exactly into politics, but into life. And if you have people that have this mindset, that accept all this diverseness, all this beauty in life, I don't think you will have politicians with these problems, because first they will have learned this beauty of life. When they become politicians, they will not have these issues. You will not see these issues, these problems reflected in their policies. You will not see any of this suffering happening in migration in many people that just want to live a better life. They just want to have a better life. They just want to build their dreams. They just want to have enough money to live decently and have enough money for feed their families. There is no crime in that. So how grateful we should be to have these differences, to be able to find other persons out there in the world that share this philosophy that can enrich anyone's life, even if you are a Christian, if you are whatever religion you are. All these philosophies can enrich everyone's life. It is not a matter of who is right and who is wrong, who has the better philosophy. It's not about that. It is not a competition. But I just wanted to put this reflection out there, because I find it very beautiful, that idea, that concept, that feel. I think it's a philosophy. I don't know very much about Sanatan, but I think it's a philosophy, a beautiful message. And you have very beautiful message everywhere in the world, not just in one religion. Everywhere around the world we find this beautiful message, and we need to keep reminding ourselves about this instead of fighting each other, right? Especially for religion, is pointless. And sometimes you say, well, I hope people around the world, in the Middle East and everywhere, can understand this, can embrace this type of philosophy, or of point of view, because that will make us very peaceful society, a very peaceful society. I think we will see many more peace, and many more tolerance between us, and a better life for everyone. And I think that this is a message from the universe to all of us. And I believe that many people are starting to see these types of things, with many things happening in the world, not because of one person, but because the force of the universe, the creator, the great spirit, whatever you want to call it, we are all part of it, of this creation. We are all connected, and this great beautiful creation is making us awake. I think it's trying to make us awake to these things. But that is just my point of view, and I think this message is very important, very fulfilling, very empowering, and very important in today's world, because we are still seeing many violence because of intolerance, because we cannot accept that people might think different than us. And this is a constant, sadly has been a constant in humanity. And I think that we need to understand these things. I think newer generations can be more aware of all these things. and maybe they will have a more peaceful world without all these intolerances that lead to violence, to conflicts. But they will have to choose for themselves. Those new generations will have to choose for themselves. But at least if we as older generations put this on the table in our spaces, in our families, in our communities, doesn't matter the religion. I think these type of messages will help newer generations to be more open-minded, to have a more tolerant mind, more peaceful heart, less conflictive, and all these older generations that are making all these chaos. It's the older generations that are creating these chaos. If you see the leaders of the world that are older, are the ones that are still creating much of these chaos, and many young politicians. Some of them are doing a better job, I think. Not all of them, but some of them that are young are doing a little bit more better job in that sense, because they don't have these old ideas. I believe that that is an important aspect of what we see today. But newer generations will have to choose for themselves the future that they want to build. And the very least we can do as an older generation, a little bit more older, is to try to pave the way so they might be able to choose and to change things, I guess. But I don't know, this is my point of view, my what I believe. And I might be wrong and I might be right, doesn't matter. It's not about who is right and who is wrong again. It is about the future. But I think time will tell. Time will tell everything, and time heals everything. And I hope that time will heal the hearts of the new generation to be blinded against all this hate that older generations have. But I don't know, time will tell. I just want to end up this live stream here with this message with Sanatan, and I think it's very interesting, a very needed message. It's almost 12 in the morning, so I'm just going to finish here. Giovanni, well, it's Wednesday, Thursday, January 13. I say it in Italian. Giovanni. Giovanni 30 of January 2025 already, my friends. And I appreciate if everyone sees this. I mean, if you see this, don't see this, is okay. It's fine. I appreciate whoever is taking time to see this, and I hope that might make you think about something better. And let's hope that the future is brighter than it is now. But well, I appreciate if anyone is seeing this very late. It's almost morning. It is almost good morning, because it's about to be 12 in the o'clock. So it's almost 31. I think it's 31 days. Almost February as well. So well, I appreciate it, and I see it in the next one. If anyone watches this, we'll see it in the next one. Maybe tomorrow in the morning. I don't know.